In this short video clip, we're going to talk about how to form the past perfect. We'll cover forming the past perfect with affirmative statements, negative statements, questions, and we'll also talk about how to form the past perfect with adverbs. Let's start off with affirmative statements, which is the same as positive statements. The past perfect for the verb go is formed by using had and the past participle form of go. So for example, we can take had and combine it with the past participle form, gone. Had gone would be the past perfect. Why don't you try to form the past perfect with the verb do? How is it formed? Alright, since you've studied present perfect and you know your past participles very well, I'm sure that you chose the past participle done for do. Now the second step, we know, having studied present perfect, that we need to match the done with had, because we're not talking about present perfect here, have or has, we're talking about past perfect. And the past perfect is always constructed with a had plus our past participle. There you go. Okay, just to make sure that we're on the right track, go ahead and form the past perfect for write. Okay, to this point, we've talked about three specific verbs: go, do, and write. And we've talked specifically about how to form the past perfect for each of these three verbs. But in order to be able to use the past perfect in real communication, in writing or speaking, we need to build other pieces in. So just like the present perfect, we're going to need a subject before our verb, and we're also going to need something to finish the sentence to make it logical. So for example, if our subject is I, we could say, I had gone to the movies. We could say, I had done the homework. I had written the essay. So now you should be able to form the past perfect in affirmative statements. Alright, now we need to talk about how to form negative statements with the past perfect. What three-letter word often makes a verb negative? I hope that you guessed the word not. And now let's make negative statements with the present tense, the past tense, the present perfect, and the past perfect. So starting with the present, we could say, I do not go. And now how could you make that negative? Okay, so the negative is, I did not go. Now try present perfect. I have not gone. So now can you guess how you would form the negative statement with the past perfect? I think you got it. I had not gone. But as you know, we often use contractions in English, especially in speaking, so you probably would not hear I do not go, you would hear I don't go. The same is true for the past tense. I did not go would become what? Exactly, I didn't go. And the same is true for present perfect, so I have not gone becomes what? I haven't gone. Therefore, what happens to I had not gone? I hadn't gone. Okay, so to conclude with negative statements, what is needed in order to form the past perfect for negative statements? First, you need a subject. What do you need next? Next, you need the word had, always had. Not have, not has, but always had. What comes next? The next piece is the key ingredient, not. This is what makes it negative. And what's the last important piece? Yeah, your last piece is your past participle. So can you think of an example of a sentence using he or she that follows this model? I chose the verb eat, so I could say she hadn't eaten. She had not eaten, or she hadn't eaten. So we could say, why was she hungry? She was hungry because she hadn't eaten. At this point, you should be able to form negative statements with the past perfect. Forming questions in the past perfect form is exactly the same as questions for the present perfect. There's only one word that's different. Can you think of an example of a present perfect question? Two examples of questions in the present perfect would be, have you been to Baltimore, or has he been to Baltimore? The only distinction in using past perfect is that we're going to change that first word, going from have or has in the present perfect, and now it's going to become what? Yeah, hopefully you got it. It's going to become had. And that's the only shift that you make in asking questions from present perfect to past perfect. Lastly, let's talk about using adverbs with the past perfect. Here's the good news. If you already know how to use adverbs with the present perfect, it's exactly the same with past perfect. The only distinction is that you're using had instead of have or has, just like with the questions. So before we get started, think of a few adverbs, specifically adverbs of frequency. What are some examples? Usually, often, ever, never, and always are good examples of adverbs, and they're adverbs of frequency. So these are words that are often used with past perfect. Now you try to reorder these words so that they make a logical and appropriate sentence in the past perfect form. So to put this in context, somebody might ask you, oh, did you like the park that you went to yesterday? And you might say, I had a great time, because until yesterday, I had never been there. At this point, you should be able to form the past perfect with affirmative statements, negative statements, questions, and with adverbs.